His 12 Key Factors program is currently in use by pest control operators and clients around the world. Jeff's mission continues to drive success in the pest control industry. Jeff, sometimes referred to as the pest coach, for his abundant knowledge of pests, is known for his practical, down-to-earth style. Jeff's engaging and humorous personality enable him to connect with his audience immediately and deliver content that they can utilize immediately in their daily working environments. He also understands the demands and expectations of government agencies and works to create a program not only to meet the needs to protect the brand of the client, but also assure the health, safety, and property of the public as well. As a leading consultant and pest control expert, Jeff is a speaker at the annual Purdue Conference, Interstate Pest Management Conference in Baltimore, Maryland conferences. His active relationships with professionals at the USDA and numerous others in the field keep his recommendations current and dynamic. He teaches recertification classes for pest control firms and state associations across the country. His articles regularly appear in PCT and PMP magazine, and he has also been published in the Journal of Economic Entomology. On a personal note, I've known Jeff now for 24 years. The first time I ran into him, I was a service manager in Kansas City at the commercial division, and he was out there scoping out problems with mice at large retail facilities. And I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Jeff McGovern.
Thank you. They told me flip the switch and the microphone will work. Ha ha! I found the switch. I've had a lot of technical assistance today because you know how things are. When you're over the age of 12, none of these doggone electronic things ever work right anyway. What we're going to look at is some issues with new technologies. I've got a bunch of different stuff in here, and some of the things I have might be a little controversial, so just accept that, because you're going to see some things that maybe nobody in the industry has seen before because they just haven't bothered to show anybody. New technologies in and of themselves can be very, very scary. They can frighten people because we are not good at accepting change. Change is frightening. So what you have to remember here is you have to combat fear, peace of mind, remember that. And what is fear? Fear is an acronym. It stands for false evidence appearing real, or as my wife says, forgetting everything about reality. So you can control fear, and you really have to have it with new technology, because think about the last time you picked up a new cell phone. You opened up the box and powered it up, and you're looking at that damn thing going, oh crap. You have no idea how to turn it on, you have no idea how to work it, and you gotta go fetch, in my case, a grandchild, hopefully under the age of 12, because they'll turn it on and have the whole thing running in seconds. Now, you also, to deal with change, you have to have no resistance to change. One of those individuals in the picture hates change. The other one built a major worldwide corporation because they had no resistance to change. You can all see the difference, you know who's who. One of them was up there, that's Mr. Sam. I did a tremendous amount of work for years with Walmart. I traveled all over the country with their people. We did a lot of consulting work for them. And for all the things that people say about Walmart, oh, they're bad, they're nasty, they're horrible. They're not. I had a wonderful experience with them. And in my little town in Florida, we now have a brand new Walmart manager, and the world has changed for those companies because he's actually out pulling freight. When I started working with Walmart in the early 90s, the store manager never touched a box. It's a different world now. But their no resistance to change was the reason that company grew. The chickens have incredible resistance to change. They don't want anything to be different, ever. And I know, because I've had 4 of them at the back of my house for months, and they won't leave. They're worse than a herd of peacocks. They drive me crazy. Now, this is a new piece of equipment. About 10 years ago, no, I think maybe it didn't quite that long, because it was after the blizzard, a year or two after that. There was a gentleman by the name of Bill Williams. who came to this conference. And he had an instrument with him that was an analog version of a termite seeker. What you see in this picture is the new digital version of the termite seeker. This is an infrared gas detector. In this particular case, he has developed one that picks up the off gas of live termites. There is a second version that will be ready very soon that picks up the off gas of bed bugs, because he spent the time to figure out what the heck coming off these creatures. There's about 5,000 different gases you can detect with infrared, and this gentleman is a total genius when it comes to infrared gas detection. These instruments are distributed worldwide with a refrigerant gas filter in them, and that's how they detect refrigerant gas leaks in automobiles and in HVAC systems. This guy's good, but he's also 81 years old, 82, and he's ready to be done. This will be his last project. And I've got a short video here. We'll see if it'll run. Hit it one more time.
The pest coach. Here is the IR Tech termite seeker. This is the fully digital version with a touch screen. In fact, this unit also is far more sensitive than the original analog version. And all I'm doing here is running through some of the settings, and you can hear the unit running, you can hear the pump running, and I just wanted to give you an idea of what this thing sounds like in the field and what happens when you push the button. You've got a lot of options there for sensitivity and for control, and so you can go out and find live termites because this unit detects the off gas of those insects, therefore enabling you to figure out what the distribution of the pest is in a specific situation. This is a very handy unit. For more information, contact Bill Williams at IR Tech.
This gentleman knows his stuff when it comes to gas detection. The only thing is, when I'm having a conversation with him, he usually verbally outruns me in about 5 minutes, and I don't understand what he's talking about. Because he's too doggone smart for me to understand. I need somebody to dumb it down for me. But I have used these units myself. I have tested the bed bug unit. These things work. We're going to see how much of a niche it has in our industry, but I know the impact it's made in HVAC, so we should have the same level of success here. It gives us options. This particular tool is one I brought up before, but I threw it in new products because I think people forgot about it. I mentioned it earlier when we did the safety class. This is a prober tool, and very simply, it enables you to check for termites without tearing up the surface. Now, it may not be as big an issue for subterraneans. It is massive for drywoods, because we have drywood situations in finished areas all over the South, and your surfaces are sometimes paper thin. And so this instrument helps you find it without tearing up the whole doggone house. I like this thing. In my case, I put it on a short extension pole because it gives me more reach, and I can probe areas more effectively. Now, when you get over to the exhibit hall, Rich Williams is over there, and Rich has a new camera. I have not messed with this one myself, because I'm a pretty good camera geek when it comes to units that I can use for assessing and evaluation. This Ferret Plus, I've seen other variations of this, and from what I've read, the best recommendation I have is when you get over to the exhibit hall, check with Rich. He has flyers on this camera, and this enables you to see into tiny little spaces. You can put it on an extendable pole. It's small. You can reach into areas with it. The camera we had probably 10 years ago was a Replay Prime X. And the Replay Prime X was bigger than this, just a little. But it was still tubular shaped, about the size of a C-cell battery. And it was phenomenal. And I think this is probably an advanced version of the Prime X. The problem we had with the Prime X was, y'all remember that, what was that movie, Fast and Furious? Y'all remember that? And you had the one fellow that was like, he was the buddy of the head guy, and he was killed in a car crash. Paul Walker, yeah, that's it. Paul Walker had invested in the Prime Camera Company 3 months before he was killed. When he was killed, it evaporated, because that was the money that was going to carry them forward. They had about 15 employees, and they were competing against GoPro at the time that had 1,200. I'm sorry that camera went, but this Ferret camera may be a good replacement for that. I put up this Beeline phone holder because this is something I use a lot. It enables me to put my cell phone around my neck, and it'll be right there. I've done a tremendous amount of videos with it on site. We use it for video clips where we're filming POV, showing our hands. My own website, my YouTube page, I use this all the time to build videos. But what I like about it is I can work hands-free. So if I'm going in to, say, a termite inspection, the worst of which is a wood-destroying organism report, a WDO, that's usually where you get sued like crazy. You can take your cell phone and put it there, angle it, and literally walk through there and talk to your phone and film it at the same time. And create a complete document of that event, because that's what's going to save your butt when you get to court. Because when you make out the report and you put on there, bedroom number 3 was blocked, and all they did was call you up to get the first termite assessment, you found all the termites and they cover them all up and call the second company. Y'all been there with that? This will help fix that. I work in an environment where this crap happens all the time, and this piece of equipment can be very, very helpful because it allows you to take the most advanced piece of equipment you have. If you're not using your cell phone to its nth degree, you're out of your mind. The cameras are incredible. The audio is incredible. For heaven's sakes, document, and this will help you do it. This device is from Beepco up in Canada. We talked about this years ago. This is the bed bug detector they have that has the pheromone chip in it, plus it's warm. You change out the trays, you change out the pheromone chip every 3 months. Do these things work? Oh, I'll tell you they work. They pull in bed bugs because they are a life mimic. The problem was they were not UL approved in the United States. They are now. Now, UL approval, y'all understand how that works? It's an insurance issue. Because if something is not UL approved, let's say a hotel put this in, and they have a fire in the kitchen over here, and they have one of those installed in a room 3 stories away, if the inspector finds it from the insurance company, he can deny the entire claim because they had an electronic object owned by the hotel that was not UL approved. That's why we didn't have it very much. It's now UL approved. I like these things. I have used them in the field. They work very well. You can also get a CO2 generator for them. So now you have a super life mimic. This will work for about a week. And I've gone into situations with bed bugs where we're trying to verify distribution, or we're trying to verify success, or we're just monitoring a situation. Say it is a cube farm. Anybody here work in a cube farm? That's like a call center with 5,000 little cubicles, and one person gets itchy and suddenly the whole place has bed bugs. We put these in because we have a lot of call centers down in Florida still. They haven't all yet moved over to the Far East, but we got a few. This next product, excuse me, is Fipronil Plus C. I've been using this for a few years now. Is anybody up here tried this product yet? It is smoking effective. In the South, what's ended up happening to us is we have found by using Fipronil Plus C, it obliterates callbacks for ants. I mean, just obliterates them. Because it has an inside label on it and it's Fipronil. It works extremely well. It works at extremely low rates. They changed the label last year. They made it easier to read because it used to talk about could be used in a void or some nonsense like that. And that was due to COVID screwing up things with the EPA. It now says in and around structures, crack and crevice application only, and outdoor spot treatments. You can use this inside. And I recommend the proper applicator for it. We've also used it outside with Birchmeier spray equipment. And I'll put a quick video up here of a small device from Birchmeier. But I will tell you this, we did a treatment in December of 2021 on a massive fire ant mound outside of a sheet metal walled office. And they were everywhere. They were getting into the building, they were biting people and everything else. And we did the recommended label treatment, which was around the mound and squirt down the center. That was in December of 21. They're still not there. That whole side of the building has no fire ants at all. I don't know if it's the product, we could have a random nest, I don't know, but in every case we've done this stuff, particularly like outside for fire ants, it's smoking. This is a PR3 valve from Birchmeier. Has anybody used these yet? Because if you've got backpack sprayers from Birchmeier, like Flox 10s, this device will cut down on the pumping effort dramatically. I'll run
Jeff McGovern, the pest coach. Birchmeier has been giving us innovation since 1876. This is the PR3 pressure control valve for the pump-style backpack units, along with virtually all of the pump-style Birchmeier equipment. You can use this in conjunction with any gun, fitting it between the gun and the hose. It gives you full control from 14 PSI to 44 PSI. Less pumping effort, less fatigue, and a far more productive day from Birchmeier.
If you've got the old Flox 10 sprayers and you put this on there, your technicians will stop asking for battery-powered units. It's that effective. I mean, we're talking, instead of doing this all the time, it's like push it down, treat for a while, push it down. It's amazing how it works. And all it is a pressure valve, a control valve that allows you some control. Now that same company that had the Fipronol Plus C, I've got samples on the way because we finally got this in Florida. They now have bifenthrin Plus C. So we're looking for some good success with this. This has just now become available. And go to your suppliers, they should have no trouble getting it for you. Now for a quick explanation, what is Plus C? It's really something that came from agriculture, but I actually went ahead and copied this down. The proprietary cellulose component that protects the active ingredient from microbial and UV degradation. The product has greater efficacy and longevity at the site of application. Oh, heck yes it does. And the results are longer lasting control and less callbacks. Definitely two products you want to look at. Now, as far as application tools, this device is from Aerofog. This is their mini sprayer with a crack and crevice needle tip on it. This is the one we're recommending for ant control with the Fipronol Plus C. Doesn't take a lot, and you can treat the areas you need to. It's so good that the guys that used to have to put out a lot of ant bait just don't. They just use this, and it's done. It's an amazing product. It works extremely well, and it works at low rates. How many people have seen these things? This is a Bee Blocker Pro kit. Oh yeah, you have used them, haven't you? And you liked them. This product allows you to do, I guess you'd call it green carpenter bee control. And I got a really short video. We'll start that up.
Jeff McGovern, the pest coach. Bee Blocker Pro is an excellent way to deal with carpenter bee holes. Simply insert the screen with the tool provided. But in that kit is an adapter for your extendable pole.
This guy's
You put the insertion tool into the end of that and look at this. Simply reaching up and inserting the screen into the hole. No ladder safety issues, and the work is done quickly and efficiently. You have a happy client. The carpenter bee problem is being dealt with because this product absolutely works.
Now, when should you treat for carpenter bees? All the time. Because what I tell people is the carpenter bee's got a really short season when it comes out and hacks holes in everything. But how long is a season for a hole? All the time. So just when you come upon the holes, put the screens in them. Personal experience, I live in a house built in 1883 and they love it. They're chewing the crap out of it. So what I do is I see the holes, I plug them. The thing is, Mother Nature gives insects of any kind only so much fuel. And the insects will come back season after season, they'll use the same holes. Just plug them. You overstress the population. I find carpenter bees lying on the porch because if somebody's plugged all the holes. And it takes a lot of effort for them to cut new holes in galleries. It's very successful. You can do it with a proper insecticide treatment, but plugging the holes makes perfect sense. You can get Bee Blocker Pro from any of your suppliers. They're inexpensive. That little tube holds 200 screens and the tool and fits in your glove box. So how much easier can that be? Now this is something new for bird control. The name of the company is Petslandia. They also own Pestlandia, but Petslandia is the main company. And if you'll notice in that photograph, they've put a strip of their mini spike on top of a gravestone. Now this company was founded in Italy. And so they do a lot of work in Europe. They've come to the United States about 2 years ago. And their product line is very, very interesting. I like it because I've seen it work. I've played with it. It works. And in fact, they're looking at using it for other species. But I'll go ahead and run a quick video we did on the two products so it's just easier to see it.
This is Jeff McGovern, the pest coach. We have 2 new bird solutions from Petslandia, now available through Wildlife Control Supplies. The first is a very unusual plastic device, and you can use as much of this as you need along the edge of a ledge or area you want to protect. It's kind of a tipping arrangement made of plastic, but very, very durable. You'll get at least 5 years with this product in bright sunlight. You can hook sections of it together, going as far as you need to keep birds off the surface, and this won't harm them at all. It's tough, it's durable, and it holds up. Let's take a look at a couple of quick installations. Here on a railing, the product is put down to keep the birds from alighting on the surface, and here on the top of a sign, keeping them off of that as well, and finally on a ledge on a removable board. The second product from Petslandia is stainless steel mini spike. This is another really cool product because you can configure it to almost any surface you want to put it on. It's that flexible, and yet it's tough, durable stainless steel that'll hold up for years. It'll link together so you can use as long a section as you want, or you can purchase it in a roll. Either way, there's numerous points along the length that you can fasten it down. Couple of examples. Here we have strips of it on a ledge area protecting that zone, and another example on top of an awning protecting the front of a store, and finally both products together. Here's the contact information for Wildlife Control Supplies so you can get some for yourself. This is Jeff McGovern, the pest coach. Thank you for watching.
Now, what's happened since I did that video? Because this gentleman who runs the company is actually living in New York City right now, and we've got companies that are now using this for raccoons and rodents, the mini spike, and it's keeping them out of areas. It's actually working very well. But this is a product that's easily accessible. Wildlife Control Supplies has it. They also have the narrow 1-inch strip, and what that's being used for now is the top of sprinkler lines, where the rodents are running the sprinkler lines. They can put sections of that out and divert them to areas they can be more easily dealt with. Or they use them on top of thin things like gravestones and stuff like that to push them off. But now this next slide is critically important. And the reason I did this is I talked to the man that basically is the president and CEO, owns the company. His name is Nico Inglese. He's an Italian fella. He lives, as I said, in New York City. And I said, I'm going to photograph your business card and show it to everybody at Purdue with your cell phone number on it. There you go. If you have any questions about this product, he said, I don't care who they are. If they want to know more about my product or want to hear about where it's used or how we're dealing with problems at food production plants and things in Europe with it, he said, tell them to call me. I'll be more than happy to talk to them. And this man is extremely accessible. I like him because he thinks on the innovative side. He's always trying to do something new. And his firm has some rodent control specific products coming. I'm hoping about 3 months. Because with the Green Rodent Control Initiative that I'm trying to push in some areas, he has a product that's going to niche perfectly into that. So I'm looking forward to getting that as well. Now this product you probably have seen introduced before, but we've been doing a lot with this from NICES, particularly with commercial accounts in Florida. This is Nibor D foam. It's mixed with an IGR. Has anybody tried this yet? A few of you guys have? Is it working for you?
Yes.
Are you using it just to can, or are you using it with another piece of equipment?
Just a can.
There's a better way to do it, because I found out early on that as much as I love the product, having a tall can with a piece of semi-stiff plastic hose on it, and I'm trying to get it in cracks, crevices, and spaces, because initially that setup right there is great for down a drain. But we're using this in wall voids and such for German roaches and commercial accounts. And Nibor D as a product, if you could choose only one product for German roach control in a restaurant, Nibor D is way up here. I mean, it's the top of the list. Because what I'm finding in the accounts we deal with down south, the roach problems, nobody's infested. What all these places have is constant introduction. And we've gotten to the point now, we know which food companies are delivering the roaches. And we know what boxes they always come in. We've taken it down to that level. And The Nibor-D is one of the products in that program that's been incredibly effective. But as far as product, sorry about that, I get off the mic sometimes. This is the system from Aerofog, the FAD system. You put this on a can of Nibor-D foam and you will enter another world. Man, does this make a difference. Because now you have control. You don't have control when you're pushing on a button, squirting it down a hose. You got all kinds of control with this thing. It turns the product into an unbelievably convenient piece of equipment to use. But the FAD system, if you get all the tips and everything, that probably runs 150, 160 bucks from Aerofog. And every person in Florida, right down to the technician level that has this, is just extremely pleased because it took that product and made it much, much more useful. The only thing I will warn you about, when you put a can on there, use up the whole can before you change it out. Because when you take the top off that with a pressurized can, it's exciting. You foam everything all at once. Now getting into scent products, because scent is important. Rich Williams is here. He's representing VM Products. And they came out with this Arizonix scent product that you use on traps. And it's a little plastic, Palmer type cap, and it's impregnated with scent. And what you do is push this down over the bait cup, and it gives a broader scent blast than some type of standard product might. And of course, nobody here uses peanut butter, right? Good. Nobody used peanut butter. And nobody used Nutella because it's just too damned expensive. If you ever have a technician that says, I want Nutella to put on my traps, I can guarantee you that 1 teaspoon of it goes on the traps and the other 3-pound jar goes in the technician. Same thing happens with Slim Jims. Most of the Slim Jims go in the technician and never make it to the trap. So this gives you a better option. And here you can see it put out on a couple of traps. I played around with this stuff. Yeah, it does seem to bring them in. And it certainly has a lovely scent to it. And somebody told me if you have I don't know how true this is, because sometimes you hear stories, you just can't believe them, but there was somebody that said that if you have a piece of that chicken product, and you maybe have an ex-husband or ex-wife that you don't like, put this under the seat of their car. I mean, I guess it just makes a really exciting scent inside the car. This is another product from VM Products. This is their Easy Cap. Who has already tried these? I have found these to be so handy in the field, and the reason is there's a tremendous amount of versatility to this device. Now, number one, you don't need a key for this one. I believe you can get it in a keyed version. This has a little button on the side that you push, and then you can open it up. The way they designed this, they designed it so this thing that hangs off the end of our arms doesn't have to go under the edge. Because a lot of times, tin cats are notorious for this. You try to pry open the tin cat, you slip your fingers under that edge to pick it up, not realizing that something inside doesn't like your fingers, and bad things happen. This helps protect you from that. Now, inside of the device, it's pretty cool. Notice you have ramps. So when it's folded down into place, you have commitment ramps built in, because you're always going to have a greater catch with rodents if you can get them in a drop zone. Doesn't matter how big it is, a drop zone. This gives you a tiny little drop zone. Now this product will take glue boards, it'll take clipped-in traps, so you can configure it how you want to use it. And also notice in the lid flipped open, there's a couple of cup sections in there. That's so you can slide on the Arizonix to help bring things in. So with the push-pull product process we talk about with green rodent control, this is a pull. In other words, you're telling them, not here, but over here is delightful. So this works very, very well. The other place I love to use this is right here. When we get into commercial restaurant work, we want to protect our trapping devices. And this thing, when I pull out the ramps, because they pop right out, and they're even labeled right and left, so even an idiot like me can put them back in properly, you can drop your trap in there. Now your trap is protected when it's in the storeroom, because what we're finding with a lot of these restaurant groups we work with, The biggest problem they have is roaches being brought in from deliveries from vendors. And we're stopping this stuff in the storeroom. We have a couple of areas in the buildings that are doing it. It's the storeroom, and it's the areas where the employees store their backpacks. And that's pretty consistent across the board. And everything we've seen, the employee clothing and backpack area, and the area where storage comes in. And then the third thing maybe would be the boxes of drinks that come in the syrup containers. But we have these devices installed. We can pick them up with the traps, and the boxes protect the traps. Now that particular trap in there is from J.F. Oaks. This is the new and the old J.F. Oaks trap. The new one is the wood grain, the old one is the blue and white. These are, because I've used thousands upon thousands of roach traps because I always teach the force monitoring classes, and that's how we discern the distribution of cockroaches. Generally this is restaurant work, or work where facilities have a routine cleaning schedule, everything has to take place. This allows me to find out the distribution. So that's the old trap and the new trap. Of all the roach traps I've used, that's still the best one. Now the other place we use these, we get situations, particularly since COVID, where people have nice big electronic suites in their homes because they were working from home. And German roaches get in there in their computer area. What do you do there? For God's sakes, don't use bait. Because if those towers are infested or that equipment's infested, and I've seen it, and you give them bait, they're going to go die inside the unit. And I've talked to enough computer shops to say, oh yeah, they bring the computers in, there's dead bugs all inside of them. Don't use bait in that situation, put in the traps. And we have cleaned places out with these traps. We've also used these in new vehicles because down south, people get German roaches in the car, happens all the time. These traps will pull them out because I've got all this computerized stuff going on inside that car. I don't want to put bait in there because they'll die inside the electronics. It's already warm saying, come here. Now we're putting food there? These things work. And I've tested it so many times. Between this and a vacuum, you can clear out these sensitive areas. Oaks has also introduced a new silverfish trap. This is something we've needed for a while in the industry. This particular device will tear into two pieces. And you have a granulated attractant. You notice on the one trap you can see like a little roadway going inside of it. That's the sprinkle zone for the granules. And you should be able to get these from your suppliers now because I think Jim has these in the warehouse in Yazoo City, Mississippi. The other new device from J.F. Oaks is the lookout trap. Now this is something people have been asking for a long time. They wanted a roach trap that was half the size of the standard J.F. Oaks device. So what he's done with some very good engineering, because he did this for the silverfish trap too, you can tear this apart and not destroy the other half of the trap. I mean, I've seen these tear apart traps for years, and in the hands of a good technician, he has about a 40% loss rate. These, it's nowhere near that. I fiddled with these in the field a lot, and I just handed some to technicians, and I said, just be careful how you pull them apart, and they've had no issues with them. And even when you pull them apart, you still have ramps that'll close in on both sides. Because for German roaches, we need that commitment ramp to increase the trap count. So this really is a nice setup, because you can tear them apart. He also came out this year with a spider trap. And for people that want to have something spider specific, it's more of a fear thing, I think, many times. We have now a trap for spiders, and it also tears in half. So you have options with some of this new stuff. I like it. That's a wood wall in a Mexican restaurant in Florida. And I put this up there because we were playing around with some equipment, trying to figure out how to deal with cockroaches in these restaurants. These are street restaurants. There's a whole group of them down in the North Florida area, owned by the same family. And they have taken wood planks, like you see, of all different colors, and put those wood planks on the walls from chair rail height to the floor. And this particular restaurant, because we measured it, had 1,960 square feet of that damn wood planking. Over the top of the drywall, with about how many millions of cracks and crevices in it? And people said, oh, just put bait. You'll be in there for 10 years putting bait in those cracks. Because the problem was they would bring in the supplies from the vendors that we already knew were bringing in roaches, and they have to stack them up against those wood walls and then take the time to stock them. Well, the problem was the roaches were moving into those wood walls. And it was a total mess to deal with. And then in July of 2022, we were looking at a product, actually, that JF Oaks had, and it's this stuff. It's Residulant. It's a 25B insecticide. In July of 22, we took that restaurant that was in the picture, and they fan sprayed. The product has 2,000 square feet per gallon of application surface with an RTU. They treated the 1,960 square feet with Residulant, like I said, in July of 22. I know the pest control operator because I go to the field with him periodically. And the last time I talked to him was a week and a half ago, and I said, how's that restaurant doing with the roaches? He said, they're still gone. July of 22. And the restaurant gets hit all the time. It gets constant in production. So we have something there that probably needs to be looked at far more carefully. Oaks has this product. It's not a wide distribution in the pest control industry, but I like what it does. It was labeled originally for bed bugs. It still is. I mean, in the bed bug situation, for fabric or rough surfaces, this is your friend. For smooth surfaces, you want to hit it with Apprehend. Now, Apprehend, if you'll talk to Rich Williams, Rich told me they've now introduced a new extension wand. I didn't have a slide for it because I just found out about this. So check with Rich when you're over there because he can tell you about the new wand for the Apprehend, and you can always call Oaks and find out about this product. Now, something else with regards to rodents from Oaks is this. The original ProPest is the product on the top. That's the blue and the green label. That's the original flavor. Well, what happened was people wanted other flavors of ProPest. Now, as far as rodent attractants, this is the one I use most of the time because this is my monitoring product. We go in and trap a situation out. We're trying to drop populations quickly. We put this on the traps, and we catch rodents, of course, but I always tell everybody, look at the trap. Because if you got a roof rat stuck in the trap, or 2 or 3, because I think last year I had a triple in one. But if I've got roof rats in the trap, and the cup still has JF Oaks product in it, that's probably the end of the rodents in there. Because if there's still rodents, they will come in and eat the rest of the product around the bodies of the guys that are already dead. So I use it as a monitoring tool. We also use it when we're checking situations to find out what distribution is. We won't set the traps. We'll just put the product on them, and we'll come back and see what's going on. And I just did this, oddly enough, at my house because we had those hurricanes a few months ago, and we got clobbered pretty good. We didn't get damaged. We just got creamed as far as crap going all over the place and power outages and things like that. And whenever that happens, we get rats in houses. So we got rats in the house. Now, I had backed off on testing another product because I wanted to see how well the JF Oaks ProPest worked to trap rats. I caught, in the period of about 4 days, I got 15 roof rats in the house, and 13 of them were on the fish flavor. I don't know why that is. Obviously, there was a flavor preference, and then when I started thinking about it and talking to my neighbors and stuff, most of the people put out food for the feral cats in the neighborhood, and everybody was putting out fish-flavored cat food. And the rats were devouring it because, they come to the bowl, the cats are done, the rats just come over and eat the rest of it. So that's what was going on. For some reason, we found in that combination the fish worked the best. The other one that worked was the original. I caught, just a couple on the original, but 13 of them on the fish flavor. So this gives you an option to experiment. The other thing I like about this is if you're using Slim Jims or Nutella, most of it's going into your tech. If you're using this, most of it's going onto the trap. Because it may sound good as a flavor, it doesn't taste that good. And we know these things. We test stuff. This is something else from Oaks, and I brought this up because there was some commentary with regards to roaches and roach allergen potential and things like that. What I would say here, this happens to be a product that Oaks is distributing, but so do other people. The Sniper is a disinfectant product. It's buffered chlorine dioxide, so it's probably the best deodorizer I've ever seen. But check the label on this, because there's new information coming out at the rates of application that make this extremely inexpensive. This stuff will destroy all the issues with cockroach allergens. It's on the label. And what I'm wondering about is if we've got situations we have asthmatic people children or whatever, and they're dealing with heavy German roach populations, maybe we should be doing a little bit of work with Sniper in those situations. This was used heavily during COVID, and it's a very low rate you need to use. It'll kill COVID in just seconds. But you can also run it inside the building out of an Aerofog U-120 and completely have the building ready for occupancy in just a short period of time. Just basically wait till the fog goes away. It won't take any time at all to take care of it. It is also, as I said, a Mondo deodorizer, probably the best I've ever seen. I found out about chlorine dioxide a number of years ago when we were doing work in California with heavily infested buildings for roof rats, and they stunk to high heaven. And one of the best examples, we had a PetSmart that was overrun with them, and when we got in there, it just reeked to high heaven to the point where the hospital moved outside the trailers. At that time, the chlorine dioxide was not available in a buffered form, but that totally deodorized the entire structure. We ran it up on top above the ceiling, and it took all the odor out now. So it's definitely something to look at. If you want samples of any JF Oaks product, or you want to talk to somebody that truly knows, there is Jim Oaks. He's with his wife, the Queen. That would be the king and queen of Yazoo City, Mississippi. And Mr. Oaks is one of the kindest gentlemen you could ever want to talk to in the pest control industry. I don't know any company that will not accept his phone call. The man is a genius entomologist. He's a lot of fun to talk to, and he's definitely a good old boy from the South. He's got that thick Mississippi accent, and if you call that phone number, and if you're lucky, Miss Debbie will answer the phone. And it may be hard to get you off the phone with her because she is the sweetest lady out there. She is unbelievable, and her southern accent is so thick, he used to have to take Miss Debbie, who's one of his employees, to Pest World every year because people wanted to meet her, not him. This is something else that's brand new to the industry. This is from Firefly Universal, available through FlowZone. And these are small flashlight clip arrangements that can go on a wand or a bait tube. And they use an O-light flashlight. I just started messing with these. And this is pretty cool that they picked a good flashlight. The clip arrangement works really well. I believe one of the magazines here had an article, you guys did? I went ahead and called him after I saw what you published. Very nice people. I like the product. These are not expensive, but he told me that FlowZone will have these available throughout the country, and you can purchase from them. I think the whole package, including the light, is like $35 or so. So it's well worth it. I've been beating up on him for a week or two now, and I like what he's done. He's done a good job with this. This is another new light that has recently hit the market. I mentioned it this morning. This is the Adaptive Field of Vision headlamp. I've had it about 3 weeks. They should be available in a week or two. This is out of Panther Vision in Chicago. And it allows me to put the headlamp on, and no matter which way I turn my head, it puts the light in that direction. Up, down, it doesn't matter. These are going to run about $80. They are USB-C rechargeable, and I generally run it at the lowest setting, so I'm getting hours out of it. Because if we're in a pitch dark place, why in God's name are you hitting it with 800 lumens? Don't do that. Because you have retinas in your eyes. They're light sensitive, and you will blow them through the back of your head. Get something with the proper luminosity to see. This light's fully adjustable. If you want to crank it up to 800 lumens, go ahead. You'll light up the whole doggone room. We don't work in places that big. So turn it down. And then as you move and turn your head, I've been messing with this thing, and I love it. Because I was always fiddling with the headlamp. I got to look over, I have to reach up. You don't have to do a thing. Just turn your head, and it moves with you. So this is a brand new product. Like I said, about a week or two we should have it. As far as Atrix with the vacuums, let's see. That is the rechargeable Green Supreme. I think that costs the black one. I've been using a rechargeable unit from Atrix for years. In fact, I predate that battery with one of the ones I have at the house. For the way that we vacuum, I have found this vacuum to be extremely handy. I've used it for drywood pellets. We use it for German cockroaches in restaurants. The other thing is, it is so quiet you won't hear it from the next room. It's so quiet you don't think it's working. But boy, does it have suction. The other thing is, it has that immediate containment filter on it. And that filter is full HEPA. If you want to go one step beyond that, you can with a different filter from them. But the beauty of it is, you don't have to mess with bags. Because I get into a lot of situations where people say, my vacuum stinks. And then I say, well, when was the last time you pulled the filters? And they go, what filters? And they're completely clogged up. And the other thing is they may change the bag, but they don't realize it takes, to get to full HEPA with the average backpack vacuum, is generally 4 levels, 3 on the front and 1 on the exhaust. With this vacuum, it's 1 level to get to full HEPA, that cartridge. And when you're done, you can toss the cartridge. I like this system. I've been using it from the corded version on, and I just think it's well worth looking at. This rechargeable is awesome. And here's, they just sent me this slide. Apparently, you can get a reduced cost trial vacuum from them now. So anybody here that wants to try out a vacuum, you can contact Atrix, and you can get a trial version from the company, and then get additional units from your suppliers. But this is something Atrix just introduced, so that pest control companies that want to try it can get one at a lower cost. You can only get one, but this allows you to try out the vacuum and see if it's for you, and it goes for all the styles they have. The backpack, the bigger ones, I think the biggest vacuum they make is like a 55-gallon drum, and I've been places we needed 2 or 3 of those. But you know, these are good pieces of equipment. The thing to remember with vacuuming, be serious about it. Get down, crawl around, dig in, and suck up the stuff. Do the job right. The magnetic trap frames have come back to the industry from Wildlife Control Supply. Danny Kaye used to manufacture these trap frames. They're now available from WCS. The quality is every bit as good as they were the first time. I've got some of these that have been hanging on the outside of metal buildings for 10 years, and the magnets are still good. Good device. You can put traps on any metal surface. The ZapBug people have continued to improve their heaters. This is probably the widest sold chamber in the world right now. It's also one of the least expensive. So if you want to look into pricing on them, you can call ZapBug themselves. ZapBug sent me this temperature chart not too long ago, because apparently people are using these chambers for other things than just bed bugs. So there's a lot of work to be done with a good heat chamber. The people at Gardner, we've got their new supplies for small flies, fruit flies and things like that. We also have their new 360 fly trap, which is very tiny. It's only about this wide. The 360 traps were originally developed in Florida, and that placement that they have for 360, putting them on the floor, will usually clean out a fly problem faster than any fly trap on the wall. It always has. They've also introduced their LED bulbs, and the LED bulbs you can see over at Rich Williams' booth. I've tested these in Florida. They work great, and they're good for about 3 years. So put them in, 3 years later, come back and change them. Oh, and by the way, you can throw them away anywhere, and they're already shatter resistant. Has anybody tried out this device, the Insecto? This is changing the mosquito business in Florida. These things are awesome. I have one just off my back porch, and I don't get bit, and I live 2 blocks off the river. These things are absolutely incredible for mosquito control. My son has 2 in his backyard in Orlando, nothing. He said he watches the bats dive over the top of it, picking off the mosquitoes that are attracted to this unit. It fits in the palm of your hand. These are incredible for mosquito control, and inexpensive and easy to carry. Here's the inside of the device. You can see that the insecticide surfaces are on the inside. The insects are attracted to it. All you have to know how to do to use this is pour water. You fill it up with water till it runs out the spout. Done. And you put it out in the right place, which is the shaded areas of the yard where the mosquitoes are going to gather anyway. And it works so well, it's scary. This was developed by Dr. Phil Kaler at the University of Florida. And I sat and talked with Phil for hours about this thing. And it is just so easy to use. I guess we could call it mosquito control for idiots. If you can pour water, you can use this. In some cases, we've had companies that are kind of upset because they can't play with their foggers anymore. The technicians love it. The AS1200 from Birchmeier, that piece of equipment for spraying, I'll run a quick video.
Jeff McGovern, the pest coach. The Birchmeier AS1200 is an essential tool for the PMP. This battery-powered system has 0 issues with fuel spills, stains, or fumes. Battery power rocks because it is so clean and so easy to use. It's a far lighter weight system than gasoline-powered systems are. It's also a whole bunch less hassle. When you take this into the field, you can do from the eaves all the way down to the ground perimeter on a structure with no issues at all. The settings are right under your thumb for instant changes if you need to. You can also change out the tips for different spray patterns and to get different ranges and particle size as you're working, even treetop level. So what you have here is the Birchmeier AS1200, an essential tool like no other.
There's one of those in the exhibit hall. Go and touch and feel it. It is so good. You just can't wait to get your hands on it, and you won't want to let it go. As far as electronics, I've worked some with this V-Link system. I like what these people have. This is Victor, and it allows you to get electronic monitoring for your traps and your devices in the field. What I would recommend doing, because he is such a cooperative individual, is talk directly to the man who is running this for Victor. He can help you set this up, frankly, worldwide right now, and he probably has some of the most durable electronic equipment in the world for rodent control. But I highly recommend it, and there is his contact information right there. Get a hold of this young fella, because I like the equipment, I like the way it works, I like the way it holds up. It's very, very useful. I don't have any goofy connections or anything with it. These devices simply work. So I'm no electronics expert, but it's definitely something to look at. Nature's Defense. I'll close with this. This is a behavioral modification scent. And I've been working with this product line for, I guess we're going on 11 years. Nature's Defense gives animals a different message. It is not a repellent. In all my years in the pest control industry, this is probably the biggest improvement I've seen in the last 40 years. It is absolutely phenomenal what we've done with this. We started with Nature's Defense in 2014. I met him in 2013. Mark Weiser's the owner. But in 2014, we had a horrible rodent problem at a USDA meat plant about 10 blocks away from where I live in Florida. And I knew the owners of the company. I was helping the folks do the service over there. I was testing rodent baits and traps and equipment for years over there. And I talked to the USDA and I said, look, I've got this new product I have. It's a scent. Can we try it here? I put it in on the 27th of June, 2014. I came back in the next day, and the rodents had not bothered anything in the spice room, which is where I put the product. And the rodents, we treated it once a month with Nature's Defense. We changed it out once a month. And we never had another rodent in the building, ever. Everybody was shocked that it worked that well. Now, from that point on, Mark Weiser, the owner, has continued to improve the product. And the companies that are using it now for over 10 years, they've eliminated 90% of the callbacks they have for rodents. It's phenomenal what it does. Now, the broad label of the product actually has 26 different animals on it. We use this for iguana control in South Florida to keep them from eating everything. It simply sends the iguanas someplace else. Because what it does when the animals are exposed to the scent, they're not picking up their scent cues. They're confused and they don't quite know what's going on. So they simply try and find a way to avoid the scent. The biggest building we've cleaned out so far was Daytona Beach Center. If anybody's ever been to Daytona Beach Center sits right on the water. You've got a 5-story movie theater in there, and you have Sloppy Joe's, hamburger places, gift stores, little candy places, all up and down that strip. Connected to the south side of that building is the Hilton Conference Center on the beach. Connected to the north side is the Wyndham. The pest control company took Nature's Defense in there. I made an audit for them in July of 2019. They started using the product in there. At that point, I mentioned to some folks earlier, people were withholding rent at $25,000 a month. They started paying rent again at the end of August. They haven't had another rat in the building since 2019, and he treats every month with the product. These are just some little glips about it. The last thing I'll mention, we did have an operator in Merrimack, New York, that is already up to 16 city blocks that he's cleared the rodents out. That's 29 miles north of New York City. He's already cleared out that much area with Nature's Defense. This product requires explanation from an expert. That gentleman is Mark Weiser. As far as I'm concerned, Never in my entire career, which spans over 50 years, have I met anyone that understands scent technology the way this guy does. He's a total, complete genius on it. If you want to talk to him, give me your business card and I'll have him call you. He is absolutely the best, and he can help you understand how scent causes animals to react. And he's worked with all of them. If you have a problem with moose, he can help you with that. If you have a problem with mule deer, he can help you with that. If you have a problem with mice, he can help you with that. Because he lives in a world of scent cues and how animal behavior can be directed by scent. What it's doing for rodent control, it's changing the market. Because now I have the push. I've got the pull coming with scents that are pull products, and so I can do rodent control with virtually no bait whatsoever. It's amazing what we've been able to do with this stuff. It requires a very distinct change in thought process, which I've had to do with all the years I've been in the business, but this man has helped me every step of the way. Like I said, if anybody wants to talk to him, he is an extremely generous, friendly gentleman, and he has a huge amount of knowledge stuck in that head of his. And he's been getting inquiries literally from around the world on this product as the word spreads. And so with that, I think we're ready for a QR code. Gene, are we about ready for that, sir? Well, I don't know, does anybody have any questions? Or if anybody wants to make it, yeah. Yeah, check, Bill Williams has that figured out. I would definitely check with Bill. You want to check with Bill on that too, because that took him a while. I know when he got the off gas, I'm not a gas expert, he is. He actually went to Colby Shaw and worked it out with Colby Shaw, and they did some investigation. They found out what the off-gas blends were. All he needs to know is the target, because once he has the target, he could build the IR filter for it, and then it'll identify that particular gas. That's how it does it.
Take it away.
They have to be within the, we can't see the gas, so it's a matter of, if the unit has a vacuum in it, if it picks it up, it'll tell you. No one knows the range because we can't see it. So that's kind of how it works. Anything else, guys?
What's the active in the microbial?
Which one? You mean the Nature's Defense? The Nature's Defense. Trying to think which micro. Oh, you mean the residulant? That's it. It's residulant. That's the active. That is the name of the active ingredient is residulant. It's polypeptide protein that causes the insects to lose their waxy layer. It breaks the ester bond between the insect's waxy layer and the body. It falls off. Pretty effective stuff. They tell me it works at about 1 part per million. So it's pretty neat stuff. Definitely worth looking at. I like that stuff. I use it myself quite a bit when I get into tough situations. Anything else, guys? Because I think we have a picture coming, so everybody's got to do their hair. Yeah. I haven't tried it on starlings. Call Nico, because he probably has people that have. That's not one thing I've played with. I've been messing around with other birds like gulls and stuff, and I've just got tiny little places put out, and I've not discussed it with Nico because I'm just keeping an eye on it, and it's working fine because they just don't. Those things they just don't get clogged up badly in the places we have it, and it seems to be working fine. Dad, call Nico. He can help you because he lives up north, so he probably dealt with it. It's not one that we deal with.
And please remember, we do have our photograph outside of Fowler Theater there, right outside, in just a few minutes. Also, the exhibit hall is open on the first floor of the Union, and we'll see you tomorrow morning. Thank you.